What's going on, everyone? I'm Chris Baker.
And I'm Ty Backer.
Welcome to episode 195 of Behind the ToolBelt with TC Backer Construction.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. TC Backer, TC Backer.
Behind the Tool Belt is sponsored by Lead Scout. Find out more at leadscoutapp.com.
Is your lead flow down? Whether you're a company owner, office staff, salesperson, or installer, you're a roofing rock star. We help you get more leads with custom SEO, Google Ads, and a pro website.
TC Backer, TC Backer.
Boom. TC Backer family, Behind the ToolBelt family. What is going on? It's Wednesday. It's a very special day. Tyrus is back from Africa.
Yes.
Starting to get cold out in PA. We got the fall coming up. We got a lot of really cool things that we're getting ready to do. It's beginning to feel a lot like the giving back season here at TC Backer.
Amen.
If you guys follow us on social media, we have been posting about food drives, and pretty soon the 21 turkeys coming up, and really good way to start this episode, because I feel like this episode is going to be talking a lot about Ty's experience from this past week in Africa and Uganda, what he got from that, what he was able to give to others, and yeah, I hopefully here we're gonna have some people that are gonna be popping in as they get home to their families, and popping in the guys from Revolt that were over there as well. If you guys notice behind me and behind Ty, there is pictures that's going to be cycling through here of
our experiences.
Yeah, your experiences, man. And I know I have a lot of questions. We kind of talked a little bit prior to the episode, or before we went live here, on some things, but I got some deeper diving that I want to do, and maybe rehash some of the things that we started talking about. Definitely probably an eye-opening experience for you, for lack of better words there. I know I've put a lot of thought into it just from last week's episode. If any of you guys tuned in last week, there was a lot of good stuff that we talked about. I think it was one of the more meaningful episodes as far as like impactful words and thoughts and everything that were shared by Hunter and Dylan and all the guys and yourself. So that's kind of where I'm at with it, man. I guess if any of you guys that are in here right now, number one, please share this out. And number two, if any of you guys have any questions that you would like I to answer, if there's anything that you want to know about his trip over there, about how life was over there, what he was over there for, any experiences or any of that kind of stuff, please pop it in there. We'll pop it up on the screen. Either Vic or Mike behind the scenes will pop it up on the screen here, and we will. Well, not we, because I wasn't there, but Ty will answer it.
Yeah.
We'll
so talk about it.
First of all, man, welcome back.
Yes.
You've been back in the States here for 7 hours,
maybe. Yeah,
8 hours.
landed around 9 o'clock this morning. Took me about 3.5 hours to drive from JFK to get here. Got home, met with Jana, met with the dogs, saw Rocket,
Mm-hmm.
get off the bus, did all the important, essential things that I try to do a little bit better today. Took a shower, talked to you for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
talked to Vic briefly, but that was more so on my ride home. Talked to Glenn. Glenn was the first person I spoke to.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, hopefully Jan is not listening. Oh shit, sorry, honey. Well, I tell you what, the entire time we were over there, Glenn stayed in touch with me pretty much as he could through the WhatsApp.
Mhm.
And which was very thoughtful and very caring of, to try to keep me in the loop on some things and basically just asking me, how's it going? How you doing? You holding up? Because Uganda could be hit or miss, I guess, as far as, being taken hostage and ransomed and all that stuff or whatever. I think with the amount of people that we had, plus the security, we would have had to do something pretty stupid,
right,
for something like that to happen to us. At no time did I feel like we were in any kind of danger or anything like that. Getting back to the experience and the life-changing experience and which has helped, probably is going to help moving forward, especially the more that I get to allow this to marinate, right, and digest this experience that we had. It was very long days. We were out and about doing something for at least 20 hours a day with a minimum, very little sleep.
right.
Just because, it's 7-8 hours difference.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 o'clock in the morning was literally, I think, 5 o'clock here, 5 p.m., 3 a.m. there was like 5 o'clock here, something like that. So the time difference was off, but got to experience it with a great group of people. And early on, before we even got to start the trip, we were on a subway, and I said to Mark Jump, Dylan, and Hunter that, I couldn't imagine doing this with anybody else. Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Other than you guys would have been right up in there with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But to go over there with the guys that I look to help level me up, and the guys that have inspired me to push myself to a different level that I never even knew existed. I couldn't, as far as being on that level, I couldn't imagine being there with anybody else to experience this with. And what was cool about it is that it strengthened those older relationships that I had with people. And then it also created new relationships with people that I didn't know so well from the Revolt group.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. And then to experience that and watch that happen with the other men and women that were there with us. And Jeff Battles, who's like a minister, and that's his mission over there, his crusade, to watch and see what he had developed over there over the past 4 years. He's been over there, I don't know how many times, but he's done 14 crusades over the past 3 years. And we've only got to experience one of them. But this man and his wife is his biggest fan. So she's right beside him every step of the way on this. And I can't even imagine how grueling and tiresome that something like that would be, doing it that many times. That's not even counting how many times he goes over there to organize things. And he created and developed a team of leaders over there that, so when he's not there, things are still happening, right? Like he designed like his replacements, right? So when he's not there, and let's say he never goes back, his legacy is still left behind. Right. Like, he bought equipment, stage and sound and lighting and all that stuff, so they can still, their big thing is preaching the word of God over there. Right. And that's their thing, man. Like huge, like it's either all or nothing kind of thing over there. And that's where it had helped me strengthen that belief for me, because of the things that we got to experience and witness, right? Like if I had any doubt in my mind that there wasn't a power greater than myself, that has been smashed by watching the faith, first and foremost, to see the faith that these people had and the smiles on their face, and how, because every day is a struggle. Okay. Like, just to move from point A to point B is hard, right? Most people don't have transportation. Most people don't have indoor plumbing. The streets are made of mud. There's no trash removal services. There's, where the things that we just take for
We don't even
granted
think about these
and
things. Right.
are oblivious to being able to go to your refrigerator. People don't even have electricity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm not just saying like a small section of town. I'm talking, there is a city, okay, but everywhere around this city is nothing but a mud hole, and people living in bricks, homemade bricks that they make
Mm-hmm.
into homes, and that are no bigger than this table that you and I'm talking raising whole families, and it's majority of women, single
Mhm.
moms. Okay. That just seemed like there was just more women, maybe. Also, I don't know why, or just maybe the areas and locations that we were, it seemed like there was predominantly more women. So it was definitely mind blowing. And I was able to actually jot some things down. I took so many notes when I was over there, and had my mind going, from over there to over here, and things that we want to do. And we talk about locally, like, dude, we need to step our game up,
Mhm.
right? Like, we need to really, 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 really step our game up. And honestly, like Jeff's mission that he's doing over there, the ratio to the American dollar, I can't think of what the hell it is off the top of my head right now. I had so many apps that pulled up on my phone to do the ratio to currency. Um, but it's $100 bill would go a long, long way.
Right.
Like a long way. So what we should have probably got a little more prepared for this. And I jammed a bunch of shit down Vic's throat real quick, to try to just even get these photos and stuff up. But we'll, at some point in time, we'll get more people on, and we'll get Jeff Battles, who's the man behind the scenes of this whole thing over there. I think it's called Impact. Crap, I can't even remember. But anyhow, it was just great, man. But it is definitely giving me clarity on a few things that I need to change in my life. And it also has given me motivation to deepen that connection with my higher power too, and we don't like to get too much into politics and religion and stuff like that, but a lot of this trip had to do with that, which is great. It's a funny story. I got, um, I was going on a mission prior to this mission, like a personal mission
Mm-hmm.
prior to this. And Bake, we talked about it a little bit today, and Vic knows what, same thing that we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
about leveling up, like that 3.0 version, right? And that the fourth quarter is upon us, and we want to accomplish things in the next 4 months that most people can't even accomplish in 4 years. And whether that be my physical appearance,
Mm-hmm.
whether that be deepening my spirituality, whether that be, whatever that impact might be on our coworkers, my family's lives, like everything, because first and foremost, we're in a position we can do that today.
Right.
Right. Like to work on leadership and not so much in the business. Right. And I recently read something, and that motivated me and gave me these thoughts of, we're going to smash the fourth quarter, was and I know I'm going to not get this right, but it's like, if I continue to work on the business, or in the business, as hard as I have been over the past 15 years, okay,
Mhm.
if I continue down that road, now it's been less and less and less and less over the past 7 years,
Right.
but if I stay in the weeds right there, we may have the potential to grow 25%.
Mm-hmm.
But if I focus more on my leadership and sharpening that sword,
Right.
the possibilities is anywhere from 500 to 700% we can grow the business,
Right.
Due to efficiency, delegating things, encouraging people, learning how to encourage people, when to encourage people, stop trying to pull them up to where I want them to be, get more down to where they're at, and find out where they're at and what their goals are. It's going to help the company as a
Right.
whole, right?
Right.
More things, and I can go on and on and on and on
Right.
about sharpening that sword, right? If
Mhm.
I can go over on this side, this column over here, and raise that bar on leadership, and create my replacement and co-leaders, and create those positions where they can excel in being leaders over here, and create a leader over here. That way they can excel that part of the company. Instead of me being in trying to take care of whatever little stupid things that I get caught in the weeds in. But anyhow, read something, was like, we're going to smash this thing. And I called Hunter up and I'm like, look, dude, I can't go to Uganda. And I'm explaining to him all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like why I can't go to
Right.
Uganda. And he was like, dude, are you for real right now? And I was like, yeah, man, like this is going to like take me away from that energy, that momentum that I have right now. Like I can't afford 10 more days. I was like, dude, I've been traveling. I've been doing all this. I've been doing that and trying to build this, trying to do that, trying to pass the torch down there. Like he was like, dude, everything that you just said, you're going to get tenfold over here. Like you're going to experience things that you can't even fathom right now.
Was he right?
He was 100% accurate.
Right.
100% accurate.
Yeah.
100% accurate.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah. So stupid. And honestly, I'll be honest with you. After I got done saying all those things to him, I knew exactly what his response was going to be.
Yeah, you knew that. You just needed to hear it. You needed to hear it from someone else other than yourself.
Yes. And it was fear and stepping outside the comfort zone. And that's kind of why I posted something a little bit ago, what fear stands for. F everything and run. And that's how we normally say it. F everything and run, or face everything and rise. Because I don't know how many times I've came to that fork in the road in my life. Where do I run from it, or do I face it and do I rise? You know, and that's why I kind of posted that, because I'm really starting to digest and it's marinated, I think, long enough. But I think the longer that this trip marinates, the more I'll be able to explain exactly what I experienced and what it did for me. And that's why we'll have two special guests popping in here at some point in time. I haven't heard from JP yet.
Yeah.
But I do know Dylan will get in here, and I don't think JP will let us down. Unfortunately, I got home before Hunter got home before all of us, and they had to catch another flight. So we flew from Uganda to Dubai, from Dubai to New York City, and Mark and Hunter and everyone else had to all get to New York and then fly home from there. So they had 3 legs that they had to travel in the past 40 hours. So we've been on the move for the past 40 hours.
Yeah.
With this huge time difference. It was 8 hours difference in Dubai and 7 hours difference in Uganda. And we did get to experience the world's largest mall in Dubai. That was pretty cool.
Right.
To experience that, not just stupid stuff like that, but the things, the children, the impact. We attended a business conference with entrepreneurs, some very successful entrepreneurs, some probably not so successful, some early, beginner entrepreneurs, and then some people who want to be entrepreneurs. So we got to share our experience, strength, and hope with a lot of people. And this is the funny part. And Chris, I said something to you a little bit about this earlier about, I guess one of the things that I thought that I expected to get there is like a lot of beggars.
Yeah. I'm glad you went into this, because I was going to kind of go into that. I was going to ask you about this. This is a good transition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Keep going with that. Keep running with that.
Because we spent the night in New York City prior to going over to Uganda. And of course we had to go to
big city in America.
So we had to go to Times Square. I'm chasing Hunter around. He's like a kid in a candy store. And Jana can't keep up with me. Well, I can't keep up with Hunter. Now, granted, he's about 6 inches taller than I am.
Yeah.
Built like a brick shit house. And he is just like jogging everywhere, all over the place. So I'm trying to keep up with him. But anyhow, on the street corners, you see people that are less fortunate, but they're asking for stuff. Hey man, you got a dime. Hey man, you got a nickel. Hey man, you got a cigarette. Hey man. Right. Yeah. And it's very uncomfortable. Right. Like, cause it's uncomfortable. Am I in the wrong part of town? Should I get the hell out of here? What are they going to do to me? Right. And of course I got a soft spot in my head, but I also got to think about, because I think it the whole way through, and I'm always suspicious of stuff.
Right.
Too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just
What's your motive?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, why aren't you working or whatever? You know what I mean? Not that some people are just mentally incapable of holding down a job, or unemployable, or have other mental issues. Right. But the thing that caught me off guard, and I noticed it probably the first time we went out there, is nobody was asking or begging for anything. Right. The conversations we were having with children from 3 years old to people that were 50, 60 years old, conversations on, I want a job. Can you help me get a job? Right. Or I would like to go to school. We would really like to go to school. And that right there was just like, that was pulling at my heart. You know what I mean? The strings of my heart, they were pulling at my heart because it was like everybody just wanted to work or go to school.
Right.
You know what I mean? They either wanted to be educated, they knew they needed to, because in schools over there, they teach them how to obviously write, read, and speak English.
Mhm.
Right. And if you don't speak English over there, I don't think you can go very far, especially as an entrepreneur. So,
Mhm.
and that's not their predominant, but it's like their secondary language is English over there. But it kind of threw me off because I was expecting like people just bombarding us. They were first and foremost, they were so excited to see us.
Mhm.
You know, we have white skin. Dylan Mullins got red hair. So, and I got tattoos. So we were both the devil
Right.
automatically, like they were thinking, because they don't see that stuff very often. Right.
Mhm.
And then once they got to know us, they wanted to touch it. They
Mhm.
wanted to touch his hair. They wanted to touch my tattoos. And then I got to explain to them like why I got this one, you know, and how old this one was. And I'm a
Right.
Leo, right? I
Mhm.
was born in August, so I'm a Leo, so I got a lion. And then so on and so forth. And they found it so interesting, like, oh, okay, all right,
Right.
makes sense now, makes sense. But yeah, that was the thing that kind of one of the very first things I noticed right away is that they want to work, you know,
Mhm.
and it's so funny on how hard they have to work
Mhm.
just to survive,
Right.
right? Whether because it's no plumbing, the lack of transportation, no electric, living in a home that's very inhabitable, right?
Mhm.
Just sleeping, I'm sure, is a job. We had rats in the place that we were staying in. I can't even imagine what it was like in these ghettos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like here's my question, man. So like you guys were on last week. You guys, I think, were there like one day at that point,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, your opinion on like why it is the difference and the experience here versus the experience there, people's mindsets.
Hmm.
Um, I know my initial knee-jerk reaction is like everything over here is superficial.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? We grow up and like, you know, the saying is, you know, you have this silver spoon. Some of us have silver spoons, some of us have to work for it. But like even like the people in America that have the worst lives, the hardest lives, they don't know what hard is.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
why do you think it is that over here we take all these things for granted and over there, like you say, like even going to sleep is probably a job, but it probably isn't, dude,
No, it's not.
because
Good
like
point.
it's all they know.
Mhm.
So like where does the happiness come from?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I know over here my biggest thing, and we talked about this earlier, my biggest thing is like trying to separate um where I get my gratification from. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like being happy with what I have and like um being okay with like I don't really give a shit what people think at this point. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
and having that mindset and trying to keep that mindset because it's tough. It's tough over here with all these distractions, all the shiny, all the stuff that like society tells you need to have to be successful, to be happy, to you know what I mean? All the labels that you have to put on things over here. It's like where does that come from and how are they able to so easily, you know, just be happy with that?
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Where does that come from? You know, what from last Wednesday to where you're at now,
Hmm.
has that changed at all? Like, has your mindset changed on like where that is and where they pull that happiness from?
Yeah. I think, okay. So first and foremost, their faith is deep,
Mhm.
and they think the situation that they're in, they've been blessed.
Right.
Okay. Just roof over the head, food,
Mhm.
whatever the case might be, their gratitude for things. And like you said, I think our problem is we've become complacent,
Mhm.
right? And it's so easy for us. If we don't like our job, we'll just go in another job.
Right.
Right. My socks got wet. I just go home and I change my socks. My shoes get dirty. I throw them in the washing machine. I keep them for 2 years. If not, screw it. I'll just go buy two more.
Mhm.
Right. So we get so clouded up
Mhm.
with whether it be money, property, and prestige. Right. It's
Mhm.
a lot of it's prestige.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the
Status.
Joneses, status.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Keeping up with the Joneses. And over there, it's they've never had that. It's not like they've never lost it.
Right.
They just never had it. So whatever they do receive is a blessing from God.
Right. They're
Right.
grateful.
Yeah. Right.
Super grateful.
Super
Yeah.
grateful. And it's like their mindset is just of gratitude. And when we showed up there, they were happy to see us. Dylan's in there, Vic, in case you didn't see him in there. Oh, you did? Okay. Um, But that I think that's where if you never, it's not superficial, it's real, it's survival, and whatever little bit they can get, they're happy.
Right.
They're happy with it, grateful. It's beyond happy.
Yeah.
It's a gratitude that they have and a thankfulness,
Mhm.
right? And look, I had wrote something down. It was like made me realize how fortunate we are and how we take it for granted.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? We take all of these luxuries that we have, and it's like, oh my God, the AC went out today.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's gonna some people won't even come to work.
Right.
If their air conditioning went out, they're gonna stay there until they can figure out how, or if their water stopped running.
Mhm.
Think about that. These people don't even have water.
Right.
Shit, there was mud coming out of the water that we had.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Is what we bathed in.
Right.
But they have to do that every day.
That's every day.
Then they have to haul water, and
Right.
before they can even use it, they have to boil it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I heard that that's just an everyday, just to have water in the house, it has to be boiled. And it's not even
crazy.
a house, a shed, not even a shed. My shed's in better condition.
I wonder, man, if you would take a group of people from over there that, let's just say 20-something-year-olds, you would bring them over here. They lived their whole life, they grew up like that. You bring them over here. How long do you think it would take to taint them before they got tainted by our way of living?
Become Americanized?
Yeah. Do you think
I don't think it would
easily?
I don't think it would ever 100% leave.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I really don't think. Now, would at some point in time have moments of complacency,
Right.
But I really think because it's so ingrained and instilled in them,
Right.
because they've never seen it any other way,
Right.
because they don't even have TVs, so they're
Mhm.
not watching us. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're not seeing. They only see what they see. You only know what you know.
Right.
And that's all they
true.
know.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Dylan, talk about the story of the taxi cab driver. Give us your spin on the mindset of the taxi cab driver. That'll
the
sum
one,
this.
the one that was in New York before we even left. Is that what
Yes.
you're talking about? The immigrant.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were. Thanks for having me on, guys. We were.
Yeah, man.
We were down. Ty was sleeping because he's old, and I've never been in New York. Good.
I've
never seen a tires backer sleep before, so you should have taken a picture, dude. Ain't none of us believe that.
Listen, I take the back seat when I'm with these guys. They've never really seen the real tie backer yet. I was thinking that all week long.
No,
but
we love us some Ty. Anyways, so I've never actually been to New York, so we shot down to Times Square, and the taxi cab driver we were with, he was a immigrant from I believe he said the Ivory Coast, so somewhere on the eastern coast or western coast of Africa, and he said he's been in New York for 10 years, and he felt so. This kind of goes to your point, Bake, of like when do they get complacent or stuck? This guy literally abandoned, or didn't I want to say abandoned, but left his entire family for a better life here in America, right? Flew the entire way across the ocean to get here, and then once he got to America, his mindset became, I can't be anything more than a taxi driver or an Uber driver, and I'm stuck. So he's in subsidized housing, we looked at him, we're like, dude, you're not stuck. You're the guy that freaking flew literally 6,000 miles across the ocean, left your entire family and way of life behind to come here to New York, and you think that you're stuck because you lack a certain set of skills? Like, this is literally the land of opportunity. The people that saw the Statue of Liberty when they stepped onto Ellis Island, man, like that is textbook definition. But we've created a mindset in our culture in America, and really, if you think about it, we've done it to a vast majority of individuals that think that they're stuck. That they can be nothing more than a bagger at Walmart, or I guess it's not even a position anymore. We're the baggers at Walmart, but but you know what I mean? Like there's so many guys that feel like their situation is as good as it's going to get. When we all know that it can get so much better. So we really encourage this fellow. We invited him down to a Revolt X retreat. We're going to try to get him in there. I think he'll take us up on the offer, and he'll be at the next one. But yeah, man, to answer your question where you were going, how long would it take before we taint them? I think Ty's right. I don't think these people ever would be tainted. I think that, how like the older people that lived right around or in the Great Depression and how they never really lost that sense. Like they hoarded stuff. They took the freaking crackers from the restaurant. They took, they had that sense of a scarcity mindset even when they had abundance. I think
Mhm.
it's the same thing with these folks, man. It's ingrained in them that they would be a hard worker long after they would leave Uganda.
Yeah.
I don't really think that we would taint them in that aspect. I think they would be probably one of the most, or some of the most wealthy individuals once they got here. And maybe that's why we make it so dang hard for them to get over here. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is a very, very difficult process, as we've found out, for them to get here to America.
Yeah, and you know, to go on your point, Dylan, you know, one of the things that stick out there is like we ingrain it in people's heads that like this is your skilled position, this is what you need to do. Like and you know, you got to be a bagger, you got to be a store clerk, you got to be a cashier, or and then on top of that, to make it worse, we make you feel like you're not good enough because that's what you do.
Mhm.
Right. And like at the end of the day, man, like what's everyone here for? Like what at the end of the day, we all go to rest the same way. You know what I mean? We
Mhm.
we all end it the same way. We don't take any of the titles, we don't take any of the money, none of that kind of stuff with us. So it's like if you are a 30-something-year-old supporting a family and you're able to get by being a bagger or being a taxi driver or whatever that is, and you're happy, why is that a bad thing? And why should society make you feel like you're any less of a person because you aren't a professional athlete, or you aren't a, you know, entrepreneur, you're not a millionaire, and you can't just go out and buy a sports car because you feel like it? Like why does that make you less of a man? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's, I think, the problem.
I think I've actually heard Ty say this, and Ty, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it's not your quote, and if it is, then maybe take it. But you know, our society, or I mean, I guess just a generalized thing, but I'm gonna give Ty all the credit. Our society needs those people. We need the
Absolutely.
guy that's bagging our groceries. We need the guy that's sweeping the parking lot. And honestly, like you said, Bake, if you're fulfilled, who cares?
Exactly, man.
I don't know if Ty really hit on it, man, but when we visited the villages, I will say that a fair majority of those people were probably happier than at least half of the Americans that I interact with on a
I
day-to-day
believe it.
basis.
I
At
believe it.
least. It
I
might be
believe
closer
it.
to 75%, man. And it's because we have too much crap.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple. It
Yeah,
really
for
is.
sure, for sure. I think if yeah, you got a question up?
Mhm.
All right, I don't see it. Obviously, there are some big differences. What were some of the similarities? Okay,
That's a good question.
that is. I can tell you this: there is just as much junk and stuff or crap as Dylan quoted
Mhm.
over there. You just got to know where to find it, or have the means to purchase it. Right? It seemed like it there for a minute. We're like, man, they don't have anything over here, and it was like the more that we wandered around, it was like, dude, they have everything over here, but you just don't have access to it because you don't have you know, the means to purchase it. I mean, so the similarities there, I would say the cities and stuff like that. Man, Dylan, maybe you could answer that question a lot better than me, because I'm sitting here trying to think of similarities, and the first thing that popped in my head is greed. There's definitely, but there's a lot more greed, I think, over there, and I think, and that's from the leadership.
Yeah.
And here I'm going to probably get assassinated for saying something like this, but it's almost like the leadership has depressed their society so much, and like the wealth isn't shared. Like there's no trickle down effect whatsoever,
Mhm.
right? And I don't know, Dylan. I feel like you have something you want to say.
Yeah, I do. As far as
It's a good
similarities
question.
go, in the circles, if you remember, Ty, maybe you didn't get the same questions that I did, but they have the exact same mindset that most new business owners do, that if I don't have money, I can't start a business. I don't know where that comes from inherently, but as we all know, at least all of us that were on the trip, I can't speak for all the audience. Um, Little capital actually probably forges the best business, in my opinion. It creates a very frugal business that operates lean. That's what we told the people. We tried to pass that to them, but that's what I would say would probably be the biggest similarity, is that mindset was there for whatever reason. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe somebody has some insight on that. Maybe it is oppression from the top down. You know,
Yeah.
where they're being oppressed from the top, and the top's telling them if you don't have any money, you can't start a business. Or maybe it's their parents telling them, you know,
Mhm.
they're probably getting the same crap, but in their country, it actually matters, right? If you don't have a good education, you can't survive in the world. Well, over there, I'd say if you don't have a good education, like if you don't speak English, you're probably within the bottom 10% of their population. Because, ironically, Ty can attest to this. When we were in Dubai, Dubai spoke worse English than Africa did.
Really?
We were able to communicate a lot better in Africa than we were Dubai, ironically, for whatever reason. So,
Yeah, for sure.
as far as similarities go, you know, I'd like to think that America still has a hard work ethic deep in its core. Um, Unfortunately, we've got to make some major changes to maintain that, in my opinion. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole we could go down. And then they're just love for one another. I think we have that once again at our core in America too. I feel like they genuinely loved each other over there too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of the similarities I think you touched on. I think the work ethic, they definitely have work ethic that they're just, born with, because everything is a job, whether it's carrying the water back to your house and then to boil it before you can even cook or drink it or
Mhm.
bathe with it. The work ethic is definitely one of them. Similarities. I want to say the love for one another and the camaraderie. Of course, I mean, America is like a melting pot. So there's so many different cultures, so many beliefs, so many differences. There's so many differences in America, which is a good thing. There's nothing wrong, and that's
Right.
what makes America America, is because of all of the different. You're allowed to say what you want to say. You're allowed to start any kind of business that you want
Mhm.
to start. But there's definitely more differences than there are similarities. And I'm having a hard time of thinking of like what similarities. I mean, the way that the roofs are installed over there, not the same. The way that the
No.
buildings are built, not the same. The way that
Is that because of like code, location,
it's
like
because
different
of lack of
elements?
materials,
Lack
and
of
you
materials?
use your natural resources.
Gotcha.
Whatever's in the environment is what you're using. Like for bracing, they use trees to literally make a 4-story building. They cut logs,
Right.
not very straight logs, the straightest logs they can find, to hold the second floor up to pour concrete.
Yeah,
And then they'll do that.
And we were complaining at the
Hmm.
hotel because the steps weren't the same, and here they're freaking putting this thing together with literally sticks they probably hand sawed in the parking lot. Like
Huh.
in this conversation as it goes, Ty, I don't really think there was a ton of similarities at all. They had a lot of things. I don't want to say better than us, but they had a lot more traits that I definitely desire within America. I
As
guess when
far
I
as
was
like just like internally as human beings, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. That we watched. Ty wasn't with us because Hunter and I slept in, but we went to church on Sunday with a
Mhm.
different group, and Ty was over watching and supporting JP and them and Mark, and we watched dudes hand shovel, and there was like 10 of them, and hand filled dump trucks. And I mean, I'm not talking about union labor, 9 guys watching, 1 guy working. I'm talking 10 dudes working at 100 miles an hour, probably getting paid by the dump truck to load these things, and they were busting their ass, man. There was no lack of pep in their step.
Mhm.
Honestly, that work ethic we don't have in this country. That's why a lot of our skilled labor comes from outside of this country, especially for the work that we're all involved in. We get homeowners that complain about that, but honestly, man, we wouldn't survive without those folks with the industries we're involved in. It's the
Absolutely
honest
not,
truth.
man. This
But we
country's
got
built on their backs.
and we got an inside look on why that is the way it is, man. We had people coming up to us and asking us to give them positive thoughts for a job.
Mhm.
We don't get that here. I don't know where Ty was in the beginning of the podcast, so I apologize for being a little redundant, but it's super important points.
Yeah.
They're asking for real things, and here we are so superficial we can't even get our heads inside most buildings.
Yeah.
We're so full of our freaking selves, man.
Mindset here is how can I do less and get more out of it? That's mindset here.
That Oliver
Yeah.
Anthony song about fudge rounds, man, like that's literally what I mean. You could literally look at the difference between us and them versus that, man. And
Mhm.
yeah, the work ethic component to me and the desire for better, genuine better. I'm not talking about a bigger house. I'm not talking about a new truck. I'm talking about making sure that all my kids can get a proper education. I'm talking about making sure that I have a roof that doesn't leak or is adequate. I'm talking about just making sure they have fresh water or indoor plumbing. It was absolutely eye opening in that aspect alone, to see that. And I'm kind of sad we didn't. When JP hops in here, he can explain. If he gets in here, he can explain what they experienced yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever. I don't know what day it was when they went over to explore or to experience the orphanage. And
Right.
It sounds like it was a very, very, very moving experience, but people working well within their means. So super, super inspirational stuff.
You can't send him a link.
I want to ask you guys both this question, and you guys can answer individually. I don't care who goes first, but through this entire experience, and Zach, this is outside of business. This kind of leads on to what Zach asked in the comments here. I just want to know, like, personally, it can be business, it can be personal gain, whatever. What was your biggest, like, what are you bringing back? What's the biggest thing that you're bringing back here that you don't think you're ever going to let go of, that you learned from this experience?
Ty, do you have something that comes right to head? And I want to kind of chew on this just for a second.
I'd say the biggest thing is complacency, right? And my gratitude and to learn to pick and choose my battles a little more wisely. I felt like, and we talked about this a little bit, is like what they make do with what they have. And that's a lot of nothing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of the clutter that's in my life, and it could be from the amount of t-shirts that I have in my closet to motorcycle parts to whatever. And it's like, and I've talked about this with Jana for a minute, because Chris, you were talking about this earlier. What that does for me is really just stresses me out, knowing that I got all these motorcycle parts, right? Like, I know at some point in time I got to get up there and figure out I got to build this bike or whatever might go through my mind. But I do know that it's burning calories up here. It's in my mind. It's over here.
Mm-hmm.
I get up in the morning and I got 150 t-shirts that I got to choose from in the morning. And then I got a stack of 25 different pairs of jeans. And I got 18 pairs of different colored socks. And I got, I don't know how many pairs of underwear. And I'm talking monetary, not monetarily, but I'm talking, physical things that are in my life that stress me out. And I don't even realize that they stress me out and or take up time and or take up space thinking, right? Because we only have so much bandwidth, right? So then when I start running low on bandwidth, I get stressed. And when I get stressed, I start making poor decisions. I start getting irritable, discontented, ungrateful, all of these things. And I feel like that's what's happening, at least for me. I don't want to speak for society in general, but I think we have so much access to things, right? And we're trying to fill this, we talked about this God-shaped void, right? And we're trying to fill it with this instant gratification, because I know if I go buy a new pair of shoes, I'm going to feel better for 2.3 seconds until I get them scuffed. And then I'll have to go buy another pair instead of throwing them in the washer machine. Same thing with t-shirts. Like we call it retail therapy here. You know what I mean? I'm going to go buy a bunch of shit so I feel better, but then I end up with buyer's remorse when it's all said and done. Or I fill it up. What do they talk about? I filled it up with fast cars, fast women, and alcohol. Right. And that's how this in our society, that's how it differs. And this is the thing. Everyone's all about this instant gratification. Nobody wants to put in the work for that delayed gratification. Right. Like if I'm working out and I don't see results in 5 days, dude, I'm going to stop. If I don't work hard enough, at my job or whatever, if I don't see, or my boss isn't bossing me right. And Chris, we talked about this earlier too. It's kind of like most of us have this mindset of what has he done for me lately? And what happens there, and I'm going to go down this rabbit hole, screw it. Okay. And it's funny because I thought about this on the way home. It's like, there's a 60-40 split in any business, right? It's 60% of the people, and I don't know, I'm just making this up, and it could be the other way around, but I'm going to say 60% of the people are more worried about like what they can get out of it, not what they can bring to the table. And then you got 40% of the people that want for nothing, show up, appreciate everything that they have, but you're more focused on the 60% of the people and making sure that they're happy, because you know that they're all about what have you done for me lately. And it's like, if they're not making enough money, it's your fault, not because they have Netflix and they buy things on Amazon 15 times a day and they got their everything. Okay, more living way beyond their means, but yet it's their employer's fault. So we spend more time catering to the 60% when the 40% actually are the ones that end up suffering the most. And it's like, and I'm speaking from my experience, because they're the ones that take up most of your bandwidth. They're the ones that actually end up burning you out. So then when the 40% come over here and they actually ask for something that they really legitly need, my response to that is go screw yourself. You know what I mean? And it's like, then I become complacent because I forget about them. I forget about that 40% because the 60% has taken so much of my attention because they're so needy. And I'm concerned that I didn't do enough for them, because they manipulate you into thinking that you don't do enough for them. Right? Is that a true story? I'm going to call that the 60-40 rule.
There you go. 60-40 rule.
Put that in my book, Dylan.
Got it, baby.
I'll
Credit you for that when I talk about
Did
that.
Did you chew that question up enough yet, Dylan?
Yeah, I did, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Ty hit the nail on the head with his little tangent there. That was super good. But I think the biggest thing for me, man, is I've been a lot of retreats here lately. I don't think it was at the one that I was just at with Ty, but the past 2 or 3 retreats that I've done a fireside transformation, I've thrown complacency into the fire, but I've done it with weak intent. Coming out of this week, man, I found a fire because I have a newfound passion with making sure that we can help these people facilitate change within their country. When we were talking to these folks, and once again, I don't know what Ty talked about, so if I'm repetitive, I apologize for showing up late. But
that's okay, because there's some people that are showing up late anyhow.
Cool.
So
we love it. We love it. So when we spent time with these folks at the business conference, man, more attentive than any business conference I've attended, period. End of story. What's cool about that? $0 entry fee for them. So they had no skin in the game. They had zero reason to even freaking pay attention to us, right? I know I talk about it constantly with folks. If we give shit away for free, guys aren't paying attention. These guys are grasping on everything. There's a badass couple pictures of Ty. I think there's a couple videos too where his entire group is like zeroed in on him because he lucked out and had the one group I think that had no Luganda speakers. JP and I got stuck with a translator. Not a bad thing that we got stuck with a translator, but just slowed things down, and you hope that nothing's getting lost in translation. So that fire that I want to help these folks get to the next level within Uganda and help Uganda. I know a lot of us, I think Ty and I actually legitimately had the exact conversation of, we don't want to just give these people money. We want to give these people opportunity. We want to give these people something. I know the conversation was had when we come out of the boxing ghetto that Ty said, what can we do here? And he looked at me and said, not much without giving them opportunity, right? I want to help give that opportunity. So it lit a fire under my ass to come back home and give myself motivation to bump through that next level, man. We got a pretty successful business. I can kind of coast for probably the next 15 years and do whatever the hell I want. But that doesn't get these people real change in Uganda. So, and not even just Uganda. I'm talking about all third world countries. These guys have immaculate work ethic. There's no reason we can't help them create opportunities by themselves. We don't have to give them anything, man. Nothing at all. All we got to give them is the tools to do what we know how to do best.
Give them a chance.
We just
give them some direction. Right. I found that those that I spoke to just needed direction. They were hungry. Right. They had the fire, but they needed first and foremost the opportunity. But I think with a little bit of direction, because their dream is big enough, I think they would have enough motivation to succeed and like 10x anybody because of the work ethic and the spirit that they have, and not to kick the spirituality part, but their belief their faith, right, in themselves and the gratitude that they had. And I think that they would want to also bless other people, right? It wouldn't
Mhm.
necessarily just be about the financial gain. It would be about for them. And we've watched this. It would be the impact that they could have on people. They would go into it the right way.
Right.
Right. Instead of, because I think a lot of people that go into business for themselves, it's about the money, it's about the status.
Mhm.
Right. And I think that's where it stays for a lot of people. I think it just stays in there to how much, what size home, how many boats,
Yeah.
all of those, the wrong reasons on why you should be an entrepreneur. I think they have all the right traits to why they should be an entrepreneur or just a leader within an organization, right? They don't even have, let's not even go to being an entrepreneur. Let's just say, talk about giving them an opportunity to start at the bottom and
Mhm.
sweep the floors, then get on the gutter truck, then become a crew leader. Then, you know what I mean? I think they would graduate very quickly into that next level at
Mhm.
some point in time. I'm sure they could become an entrepreneur, but I think, like Dylan had talked about, so many of them had thought about, I don't have the money to do it. I don't have the money to do it. So when we gave them a couple ideas, you could see physically see their expressions like, wow, why didn't I think of that?
Mhm.
Why didn't I think of that? And I don't know how many times I heard, whether it was just from geo-targeting neighborhoods or what skills do you have? I'm going to school for this. I'm like, well, why don't you use it to design homes? Oh, well, I'm still in school. I was like, well, what are you doing? Well, why don't you go for construction management? Is construction management available? Yeah, definitely. Why would I want to get into construction management? Well, because that would give you from soup to nuts on how to operate a job site. So,
Mhm.
and then if you already got the AutoCAD skills and you can actually design these homes, now you know how to schedule it. Now
Hey,
you
can
know
do
what the
start to
project.
finish.
Yeah, now you
Right.
can do it from start to finish. Just start designing them. It was, well, why would I want a geo-target? I said, because then you wouldn't have to buy the land or the products, because if you can start geo-targeting these higher end neighborhoods with this house that you designed through AutoCAD, you're going to hook somebody. Someone's going to look at the design you built and they're going to like it.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, they're going to go to the bank, they're going to get the money, and you'll get draws to build this home for them. And he was like, why didn't I think of that?
Mhm.
Why didn't I think of that? It's just because they don't have that. They don't have an example of that entrepreneurial
Right.
spirit.
Right. We're surrounded by examples over here of
Yes.
people that develop that, are hungry enough to just figure it out. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like they have, it's maybe it's a crutch that it's so easy and simple. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That it's like they don't necessarily have that person driving by in the fancy car that's like, man, how do I get that?
Yeah, there's no inspiration.
Yeah, how do I get that? What do I got to do to get that?
You know what they inspired me most in conversation, really just thought. They have an actual opportunity because they have the work ethic and the desire to truly change their government. They run under a true dictatorship. Once again, Ty and I are both getting shot, but the guy's been in office since '86, man, and nothing has changed.
Now
Yeah.
his son, he's trying to get his son in there now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it's a mess. It's a genuine mess. But here in America, all we do is bitch and put the same guys up in there. And once again, let's not get political about it, but it's just honest truth. Those guys over there have the opportunity, if they truly put their minds to it, to make real change, because they can change the economy of Uganda. And by changing the economy of Uganda, they can end up ultimately changing the world. And that's my inspiration behind that is because I know that with their work ethic, man, they literally, the sky is the limit. If I dropped a handful of these people in America, if we were able to get them here, put 10 of these guys here, we put them against 10 regular average Joe Americans. They're 10x, 20x on net worth, on their relationships, on their religion, whatever. So they have it. They have the skill set. The toolbox is there. The problem is no one showed them how to use the hammer. And we that's where I guess my desire is to show them how to use the hammer, man. They have everything. They're equipped, but it's a matter of just showing them where to tap.
Yeah, it's not even giving them money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because that really doesn't do someone any good at the end of the day. I mean, we all know that. Just handouts isn't really going to teach. Ty, you use the analogy, instead of taking you to fish or catching you fish, I'm going to teach you how to fish. That way you can
eat for a lifetime.
Yeah, you
Right.
can
Like if I
fish
give you,
tomorrow. and the
if I
next
give you a
day-
fish today, you'll be able to eat for one
Yeah,
day.
you'll eat today.
But if you're taught how to fish, you'll be able to eat for a
Right,
lifetime.
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, man, that's where our we had a lot of cool conversations about how can we bring leadership to these countries. How can we bring we're all we're all in the cult, man. We're all talking about legacy constantly. These guys grasp it. We were asking them questions after the fact, and they literally were taking notes with the best of them. We really think, and this is just in conversations we've had with a lot of the revolt guys. We really think that we could bring legitimate change to this country, or all countries for that matter. I think there's more of a global mission outside of this with what we've been working on, man. Genuinely, and that's not just
Yeah.
blowing smoke, man. I apologize if I'm stealing Hunter's thunder, but I think that there's an idea there. There's a true spark. There's a spark this weekend that, if executed properly, we will. I would like to say that Ty, you and I, being some of Hunter's best friends, we're part of that mission to create billions of leaders to go on to change, to create millions of leaders to go on to go on and help billions. We're a part of that. We signed up when we became buddies with Hunter and became members of Revolt. I think that this is an opportunity to truly do it at large scale and create a wildfire that really creates a new mindset for folks, that they're not thinking about the small scale, that they're stuck in the hut, that they can really grow and change the landscape of their own country. Because let's be honest, we could get them all to America, but we have our own set of problems here. And like you said, Bake, they're going to get tainted eventually. The problem is it's generational taint. I think that it happens after generations. If you look at generations of immigrants that come here, the first generation is super successful.
Right. Because they remember, man. They remember what it's like.
Yeah. What is that old adage in business? The first generation builds it, the second generation maintains it, and the third generation kills it. I think it's the same way with work ethic in life, man. Complacency kills. And if you create a bunch of complacent kids, then guess what? They're going to end up creating a nasty cycle. And it's like that old saying of hard times create hard men, hard men create soft times, soft times create hard men create soft times, you know what I'm talking about. Sorry, my brain's all friggin' fuzzy, man. I've been up for like 40 hours. But that's the same way, man. Like, they're in a cycle right now, but how can we help to break them out of that, so that way they can break through that glass ceiling that they think's put upon them to get to their next level? What is their next level? They have more freaking natural resources than China. They have more human resources than China. Why are we not using them? Why aren't we buying things that say made in Uganda? Let's just accept the fact that most of what we have in this country today isn't made here, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing. But why aren't we exploring other options? Why are we piggybacking on that? These people are just as hungry, if not more hungry, than some of the countries we're working with already. And honestly, we have better diplomatic relationships with. So I think that our politicians really need to wake up to some of these countries that have to create more opportunities. And maybe, just maybe, as business owners, we have that opportunity as well. So who knows, man? We're not in the manufacturing space, so I don't think that's going to be our calling by any means, Ty. But we had some cool conversations this weekend that could spark into something really big.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I feel like there's definitely some things in the future of impact of if obviously not the entire country, but a handful of individuals' lives. I feel like there's going to be an impact there, because we got to meet some really cool people that we're still on a thread with and still in communication with, that are very talented musically, talented, and that are just really good people. Jeff vetted them already. They work for Jeff Battles over there now, and they just need an opportunity. They're not asking for money, and that's the beautiful thing about it. So it's not even like money's got to be dumped into this, and if you throw enough money at it, it's going to be successful. It's nothing like that whatsoever. It's just they need an idea, they need a thought, they need the opportunity, they need the direction. Like, hey,
someone to believe in them.
Yes, for real.
Yeah, and Dr. John Maxwell, right now they're teaching leadership roundtables. RD might have talked about this, but they're doing leadership roundtables in countries. And they believe that if they can get 5% of the country on board, then the rest will follow. That's kind of what when I was talking with Hunter one-on-one, that's kind of the vision there. If we can get the leadership and legacy ingrained in these people at a 5% retention rate, the rest of the country will follow, man. We can literally take and flip this thing upside down for these folks, and it's for these folks. It's not to say that Revolt did that. Honestly, if it took another organization to do it and we were helping them, I think it would be just as cool. And like Ty said, these people don't need money. For instance, the group, we're really working hard to try to help get them over here to get them some more exposure. Because that visa process is nasty. It is, man. You have to be like, it's crazy. It's crazy to even put into words. So, God willing, maybe they'll be here in the States sometime soon, and you guys can see them.
Meet them at RoofCon or something, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll just have to see, right? But
never know.
We'll. I can't speak for Ty, but I know what he's probably thinking. Man, they were some of probably the most musically talented people naturally.
Just the way they picked it up, just naturally, just their voices, their musical literacy is literally incomprehensible for me. Like like they were definitely musically inclined. And somebody needs to hear them other than us and somebody in their country. Somebody here needs to hear these people and how musically inclined that they are. I mean, they were just so talented. And that was just a handful, actually everybody that was up on stage. And it was like, they're not even, they don't practice, they don't rehearse, they don't have that. They don't do that. They just get up there and it's like, it's like they've done it for years together.
So just to put things into perspective, the level these guys are, they've only been together for 3 months as a team, I believe. Jeff can tell me if I'm wrong about that. They have not known each other for a lengthy period of time, regardless. But Ty was in bed, so he didn't get to experience it. I'll have to send him the videos. But I watched these kids pick
all
up.
These sleep dissing, bro.
You know what? And he didn't sleep for shit on the whole trip, so I don't want to I know he was just trying to catch up. I genuinely know he would have loved to have been there. But I watched these kids pick up a song in about 20 minutes and have it absolutely crushed. And I'm talking full a cappella, never heard it before in their entire life. Just absolutely own this thing. And then what was even cooler is behind closed doors. I told Ty this earlier on one of the planes. It might have been yesterday. I don't know, man. We're freaking I don't even know where we're at. But I know I told Ty this. What I like the most about them, and this is why I think we're getting behind them so much and really have embraced these kids, because they're all kids, man. They're all in their early 20s, but hungry. They were genuine. The same people we saw up on stage giving it their all for 3,000 people were the exact same people that I watched give it their all for 6 freaking random dudes to them, right? We just met them a week prior. But they are in there just absolutely pouring their hearts out for us. And just it just goes to show it's a true labor of love. And I think that's a good summary of the country of Uganda. When they find something that they truly are passionate about, they grabbed a hold of it, and you could just see it in their eyes. I mean, when we met some of the people at Worship House before we did the business seminar, like Gideon, who was the fellow you were talking to, the graphic designer? What was his name?
Umbro Wise.
Yeah.
Ambrose Wise.
Ambrose, yeah. He was fully embracing the graphic design. I mean, and super knowledgeable. You could tell the way he was talking to Ty, he was passionate, man. He was just trying to get himself to the next level. And then the opportunity to talk to somebody at Ty's level is huge for anybody, but let alone somebody in a third world country. Not to make Ty's head any bigger. No, his head is the most humble dude I've ever met in my life. So I don't want to put that on him. Don't put that burden on Ty. Just kidding. But, it was huge for him. And I could see the intensity. And when Ty was talking to him, that, like I said, that's a good summary of the people there, man. They were just hungry. And once they got a hold of something, man, they were going to be on it like a dog on a bone until you took it away from them.
They were sponges. They were super excited. And that made my heart happy, was to watch them listen and take everything in, at literally taking notes, whether it be on their phone or a notepad. and holding on to every single word. So you had to be real deliberate on what you were saying because you didn't want to steer them wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then to be able to throw out a couple different options too, like if this part fails, try this, but also remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle happens. And there's going to be doubters,
Mm-hmm.
right? The first person that tells you you're not going to be able to do this because you live in Africa or your skin color or whatever, I said, let that be the fuel of your fire to continue to keep pushing. Like, don't stop because someone tells you and convinces you that this is impossible. Right. And when I said that to Ambrose, he kind of looked at me funny, like people have already been telling him that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like you're not going to make it. You're not going to be anything. You can't be anything. You can't do. We don't have the opportunity, whatever horse crap that people have filled this poor gentleman's head with. Like we're hoping that we smash that for him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we told him, and what was so cool about it is that we're a bunch of roughneck roofers over there. Dylan, of all people, not to swell your head, is the only one that has a degree in anything.
Yeah.
I
Out of
swear
all
to
you
God.
guys that were over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We're all low bottom, blue collared, started with nothing, was the basement dweller. And now we're the guys on the balcony cheering the crowd on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And raising people up and bringing them up to the balcony with us. And so that gave them even more hope. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I didn't go to school. I don't have a business degree.
Mm-hmm.
I have a GED. What's that? Well, I did graduate,
Well,
but it was
kids,
from
see.
FCP. What's
Right.
FCP? Franklin County Prison. Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And when I'm telling my story to these people, they're like, okay, well, if you can do it, I was like, exactly. If I can do it, anybody can do this.
Yeah.
Anybody, you just got to have the willingness and not give up 5 minutes before the miracle happens.
Right.
That's the thing. And unfortunately, that might take 5 years.
Right.
That might take 10 years, but
Mhm.
don't stop living that dream. Don't stop pushing for that dream. You know what I mean? And when you turn around in 6 months, you're going to see you did make some progress. And the thing is, those losses that you think are losses, they're actually many victories because now you have experience.
Right.
Right. With those losses come experience, because I can't tell you how many losses or whatever you want to call them. I have more losses than I do victories in my life. I probably have a handful of victories, good ideas that actually came to fruition. I have hundreds, thousands of bad ideas, failures is the word I was looking for, not losses, failures. I have failed more times, exponentially failed more times than I've had successes. But what that had given me was the ability to learn from those mistakes.
Hands-on learning.
Yep, hands-on learning. Because like I said, I didn't go to school. This wasn't handed to us, just like nothing's handed to those people over there. And when we shared our experiences with these people, and I think just that alone in that nutshell to give them that inspiration, right? Because it's about mindset. And I think that we rubbed off. I don't know how many times I heard that from them. Like, man, we need to hang out with more people like you on a regular basis. And I think that's where all the threads came from. So because we're popping in just little slogans, right? Like just saying little things that they never heard of before, that we take for granted, little slogans like let's go, whatever we use, hashtag this and whatever, right? Well, they're hearing these things for the first time. Right. Remember the first time when you saw someone post hashtag let's go or LFG, it was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we got to watch them experience that.
Yeah. Got all hyped up.
Yeah. For the first time. Right. And being half exhausted and delirious, feeling like we're half drunk, made it even more inspirational, because at this point in time, I don't care who's watching. I just need you, because I feel that you're listening to me. I'm going to give this all to you. You can have it all. You ask me another question.
Yeah.
Because I'm on fire right now. Let's go. Keep writing, kid.
Yeah.
Keep writing. But go ahead.
The other crazy part that I heard too, that was really humbling, I think, for our group, was hearing the difference between like typical religious guys that come over there and then just us. We were told multiple times that they just felt like we were more genuine, that we were more interactive with them, that we made them we provided genuine value. It wasn't just us making our head bigger because we were over there doing the work we were doing. I mean, we were trying to spend time with these folks. Jeff commented on the post I made earlier. I talked about the kids. You know, that was huge for me. And he said they'll never forget the Mzungu that loved them. You know, and how many times, Ty, did you hear we were running down the street and they, Abba Zungu, Abba Zungu, which means I saw a white. Then they would chant it as we come through town because it's truly an anomaly. But here's the key: we created a relationship. How many of the kids were afraid of you, Ty, because you had tattoos? And then once they touched your arm, it was game over, man. Then we became people. My hair was probably a massive anomaly. I'm a big dude too. Like I'm not small. But once they touch it and they feel it and they love on you and they realize you're just the same as human as them, that we all bleed red. It's crazy. But how many religious people, I'm not knocking the church, but how many people need to look in the mirror and go, am I truly providing value to these folks like we did? Because we went over there with an open heart, man. We went over there with an open heart. We were just there to literally serve in whatever way that looked like. And like Ty said, once we started pouring into these people, they were pouring back even faster, right? That's why we came back with the electricity. That's why we came back with a cup that was overfilled. That's why we came back with that fire that's now under our ass. And like I said, I just want to brag on us a little bit because I think that it's due. We were there for the right intentions. We didn't go there to take the pictures. We didn't go there to come back and tell you guys about victories. We went there and we created more exposure, hopefully, that we can help elevate these folks to the next level, and you know, become the Mzungu that loved them. And I think we did a pretty dang good job at that, Ty.
Yeah, I do too.
I watched that kid. I saw at the business conference the old teddy bear Ty back there, letting that kid lay his head on him in the middle of the business conference as he's playing with his phone and writing in his notebook. You know, that's the stuff to me that really makes all the difference, because that kid, how do we change his trajectory, man? How was he going this way? And all of a sudden, he was going to stay stagnant his whole life. And all of a sudden, because he had that small interaction, he was able to sit in the same room, listen to these guys talk, that he's able to go like this now. That we're able to elevate him to the next level. That's huge to me, and it was super valuable, man. I'm sorry if I went off on a little bit of a tangent. I just felt it on my heart to share it. And like I said, I feel like, not that we needed the recognition, but I guess when people are thinking about doing something like what we just did, make sure your intentions are pure. Make sure that then when you come home, they're not going to remember you as the person that would step over the homeless guy on the street instead of giving him a hand up and saying, hey, man, how can I help? What are you doing in your life that you could make sure that you're helping to elevate people at their fullest potential? Because at the end of the day, man, we all have gifts, and we've got to be able to use them. Because if we're not, then that's why we fill our house with crap that we don't need or have retail therapy, right? So once again, I apologize, a little bit of tangent there, but let's put on my heart to just kind of go off on it.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff, man.
It was. No, it was a good point,
stuff,
man. Because like you said, Jeff did say that, like we were probably his favorite group. He's done what 14 or 17 different crusades like that.
17 just to Uganda alone. I think he's up in the 20s total.
Yeah, and we were his favorite because it wasn't about like he would take certain people over there, and it was more so for like the likes and the shares and things like that. Like, hey, look at me, I'm up on stage speaking and stuff like that. You don't even know. I don't think any of us really posted any of those pictures. Now, granted, I felt compelled because I was touched by a moment that I had that's near and dear to my heart, and I don't think I think he works in mysterious ways, and I think we know who he is. And one of the first individuals that had come over to me and asked me to pray for them was for something that was near and dear to my heart. And I posted it on Facebook, and I just feel like that for me, and I don't normally post things like, hey, look how clean my socks are or whatever. But that to me was like, okay, this is, if anyone was wondering why we're here, I didn't know it until right now, because none of us knew why we were going. We had ideas, but nobody sat down with us. At least I didn't hear why the hell we were going exactly.
Right.
I mean, we really didn't have an agenda. I think that we talked about that on the first podcast, right? They can correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, and just to brag on not to brag on Ty, but to give the perspective of how crazy that moment was. Ty was just kind of there to support me as I was praying. Me and Rick were right beside him praying, and then he felt compelled to pray. And it's crazy to think that the first person that he grabbed was somebody that literally was walking his path, and struggling with addiction, and he needed a prayer. And yeah, man, not to go completely down that rabbit hole, but
No.
it's a crazy thought. It's a crazy
Crazy how
thought.
shit works sometimes, man.
Yeah.
A
It
lot of
is.
times there's things that happen that it's just you can't put your finger on why or how or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's another good thing about America. Okay. You don't have to put a label on it. You don't have to. You know, some people have a label that they want to put on it, and that's okay. You know what I mean? That's okay here. But the fact of the matter is everyone can agree that there's things that happen to us, man, on a daily basis that we can't fucking explain. Excuse my language. You can't explain it. It just happens.
Would
You know what
you
I mean?
agree,
And
Ty, that
it's
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
It just so happens that it happened to you, and what are you going to do with it? And how are you going to look at it?
100%. And Ty, would you agree that everything that we experienced over there, just some of it timing, some of it just natural experiences, if you try to wrap logic around it, man, you almost have to put some form of religion behind it just to make it make sense.
Some form of act of providence. It was definitely, there was definitely a force with us, and we felt it together. We were doing, I think that was the first moment I my toes started tingling up. I mean, up my legs. The hair on the back of my neck was standing up literally, and someone was like, "That's the Holy Spirit," and I was like, "Okay, I'm going to go with it." I mean, I don't know what it was. Like literally, I felt the energy. Maybe it came from my fingertips, but there was 2 or 3 of us touching each other, and the hair started to stand up on the back of my neck, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like I almost felt like I was almost elevated for a second. You know what I mean? And again, not to get all, those of you that know me know that I'm not a Bible bumper, nor try to jam anything down anybody's throat. It's usually, if anything, we just try to lead by example.
Yeah.
How do we say that? It's not progress, rather than, it's attraction rather than promotion. Right. And I was attracted to travel with this group of men and women to go to Uganda, and man,
Uganda.
it was Uganda. It was such an amazing experience. I mean, and like you said, it was not by mistake that we went over and experienced and saw and witnessed the things that we did. We were all at the right place at the right time for a reason.
Yes.
And whether it be for our own personal gain, because I think this trip was for both. It was for the impact on those that were around us, and that those that were attracted to us.
Yeah. And
the impact that we had, okay, by those people that were attracted to us, and it unfortunately, man, I hate to say this, but I think we probably got more out of it than they did, because we have the opportunity to apply the things to our life when we get home, to our comfy air conditioning again, because there's no air conditioning over there, by the way, in case we forgot to mention that.
And we were in the cooler time. We were there in the cooler season.
Yeah.
It was the rainy season when we were there.
You know, but there's definitely things, because I thought Zach, I saw he had a question like, what am I going to do differently in my life today? And you know, there's a lot of things, too many things to list. You know, things that I've already been working towards, but now I need to get off my dead ass and do something about it. You know, some things professionally, right? Like, you know, maybe, you know, I don't even really want to mention, you know, some things, but things are going to be different. There's no doubt about it. This is definitely put an impression, you know, in the forefront of my mind, physically, mentally, and spiritually, that things are going to be a lot different moving forward, mostly personal stuff, right? Which will translate eventually into professional, right? And probably not that long after. So I'm super excited to finally get it, sleep in my own bed, you know, spend the night with Jana, have my dogs love on me, see Mackenzie and Skylar hopefully tomorrow, Friday, and spend a little more time with Rocket, and then really go full forward into, implement some of the things that I've written down and some other things. But most importantly, not most importantly, but before we get off here, I do want to mention there's a huge group of us that's doing a Fearless 44 starting Monday. So anybody that wants to join Fearless 44 come Monday morning, we're a bunch of us, and I mean a bunch of us, probably all across the country at this point in time, from our continent to at least over to another continent. And I think we have people that are joining us in the Fearless 44 come Monday. But again, we talked about leveling up one more notch here for the fourth quarter. That's a good thing for the accountability factor, so I don't let up. And then I do want to plug the our food drive and to get back in this. Yeah, this was something that let's not forget why we started this podcast. This podcast was intentionally for impact, right? If we really want to dissect it and put a definition on why we started this podcast, it was a platform for us to plug our local charitable events, right? And then it became more impactful for our roofing industry and other industries, personally, professionally. It doesn't matter if you're in the roofing industry or not. I'm sure you can get something from this podcast at some point in time if you listen long enough, right? So I want to definitely plug what is it, October 26th?
October 26th.
Okay, if someone's got a picture of it, put it in the comments if you don't mind. And then Vic, make sure we get that rolled up in our commercial or our intro or something like that. Let's get that in there so we can plug that from now to then. We're taking donations. We'll stop by your place of business. If you and your coworkers want to put a box and start bringing stuff in, we'll be by on the 26th to pick it up. Just let us know where. We'll let you know what time we'll be there. We'll take monetary donations. I think Dottie's is going to participate again. I think Vic had an interview with one of them down there Friday, or he's getting ready to have a interview with them on Friday this week. Down at Dottie's is a family-owned and operated local small grocery store that has helped us 2 years in a row now.
Yeah, 2 years in a row. Yeah, and just so you guys know, the monetary donations, it will 100% go to the Well, which is a food pantry at Union Lutheran Church here local in York. And whether it goes to them via products or it goes to them via cash donation, they can only take so much, and we tend to bombard them with some stuff. So sometimes we can't fit everything in the truck, and we have to give them the rest in money that they can then choose to stock their shelves in a couple months or whatever. So that money will go towards them one way or the other. It will make an impact. So if anyone wants any more information, you can reach out to me, Ty, Vic, Mike, and any of the TC Backer team. I honestly, personally, I don't care how big or small your donation box is. If you have stuff on Thursday, let someone know. Even if I got to hop in my personal vehicle, if any of us have to do that and go pick this stuff up, we will go get it, and we will make sure that you are shouted out. Your business is shouted out. We will thank you, and someone out there is going to appreciate it. So at the end of the day, man, we're going to make an impact. And sometimes, man, that's all people need. Everyone's down on their luck. And it's not there's nothing to be ashamed of with it. Just help us help them.
Yeah. Most of these people have mental disabilities and stuff like that the Well provides not just food, but healthcare and diapers, especially adult diapers. But once that flyer gets posted up there, it should have everything on it that we're looking for, like certain size diapers. So it's not just a food drive. We're kind of combining. We did a diaper drive and a food drive last year. We're doing it all at once. So this is going to be off the chain, off the hook. We're going to need more than one truck. I'm sure by the time we're done. In the big truck, though, is it a 16 or 20-foot box truck that we have that we normally fill up?
I think it's a 20.
So we normally fill up a 20-foot box truck. Hopefully by that time we'll have another box truck, just because we need another box truck. If anything else, just for our food drives.
Right.
So we're shooting to Mine was just throw it out there. Last year was 7,500 pounds of food. This year we're going for 15,000 pounds of food.
Hey,
Boom.
Tyrus, can I challenge my brothers in the roofing industry that if I'm gonna start off, I'll pledge $100. I can't obviously bring some stuff to you guys, but I'm gonna challenge 5 guys, and I challenge them 5 guys to challenge another 5 guys to donate, or at least challenge 5 guys. Is that fair? Can I?
Yeah.
Is that fair for me to
Sure.
do?
Yeah.
I know 5 guys for sure. We got you another $600 coming. I'm gonna challenge Hunter Blue, Bob Hole, Mark Jump, JP Wilson, and Daniel Zavodny. I think those 5 guys for sure will come through, and we can really maybe start something to help you guys elevate to the next level. I'd like to see you guys blow that 15,000 pounds out of the water and make sure that nobody goes hungry in your community. After what we saw this last
love
week,
that.
man,
I love that.
I think we all can have a generous heart, and especially at the time of the year that's coming. We help out locally, but I think that this show has made a big impact on our industry. So I would challenge you, if you're listening right now, go out and challenge 5 guys and go ahead and challenge you, and let's see what we can do to help out a couple of our favorite guys in the industry for sure.
And honestly, man, to add to that, Dylan, even if it doesn't come to us here local in York, go to your food drive or your local pantry in your community and make a difference. Take those 5 guys and go make a difference. Start something in your community, because what's happened over here is now there's other companies and other businesses locally that are members of our builders association, all that kind of stuff, that we actually have to compete with and keep our game stepped up if we want to be the most contributing members of our community. So what it's done is it's become contagious. So go spread that in your community, man. Absolutely.
Perfect.
I appreciate you, Dylan.
And we're going to do that too, man. But I think that this show does so much for our industry that's the least token of our appreciation. We can pay a fee, and I think that fee is one that everyone can get behind. So if this, like I said, if this show's impacted you, which I can say for most of our industry, at some level, it's affected you. I'm going to challenge those 5 guys. I'll go on Facebook after this show's over and kind of explain what I'm talking about, and then challenge those guys, and then maybe we can at least get the word out there for you guys, and if nothing else, just create a crap ton of awareness. And like you said, if somebody's, I'm not sending my money halfway across the country. That's a great point. Go out and start something yourself then.
Absolutely.
Help people in your local community. Regardless, people just need help. And a leg up is better than a handout. And that's definitely what you're doing when you're feeding people and making sure that they have the necessities to live a life. I wouldn't even say a happy life, but a life.
Yeah, it's amazing the impact that you can have on somebody just by letting them know that you didn't forget about them. That somebody out there they've never met in their life gives a crap about what is going on in their life today. You know what I mean? That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good stuff, man. Good
Yeah,
stuff. Way to
Dylan.
end this awesome show.
Thank
This
you
has been an
for
awesome show.
thank you for that challenge. We appreciate everything that you do too, man. Thank you for always supporting everything that we do, and swelling my head at the times when I need my head swelled, and not just in the bedroom.
That was Mark's job last week.
That was Mark
We
was.
couldn't talk about it while
was-
we were in
Mark-
Uganda. It's illegal,
Mark
but-
was my fluffer. Yeah. Sorry, Mark, if you're listening.
That's what this revolt thing's about.
Yeah.
We'll
Repulsed.
never be allowed back in Uganda after that comment.
No, probably not.
Oh,
I had to throw something in there. I had to throw the roughneck in there a little bit. But no, thank you, man, and thank you everyone for watching, listening. Our next biggest thing is our diaper drive. 20,000 diapers we donated last year. I guess we're going to shoot for 30. I don't want to say 40, but we'll shoot for 30,000 diapers, and 15,000 pounds of food, non-perishable.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Terrible.
Yeah, man. Let's do this.
Terrible. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
All
Let's go crush Q4.
another great episode, man. This has been an awesome episode. We're at an hour and a half here.
Oh,
If
nice.
you guys have not done so, make sure you hop onto the YouTube page, give that a subscription, and we will catch you guys next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Dylan, appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on. Everyone else, have a good rest of your week. See you guys next time.
Fellas.
Yep. See ya.